Well, hello everybody.
I'm just catching up on the chat now.
Yes.
What's up, everyone?
What's up, everybody?
Does that sound better, everyone?
Oh, I'm so glad that everyone liked it. That's awesome. I'm going to probably say this a bunch on this podcast, but Dean is an absolute fiend. This was like, he is such a hard worker, and you know, he was the true mastermind behind this video, and he absolutely killed it. All the editing, the directing, the camera work, the music, like he really is an absolute beast. So yeah, I'm so glad you guys enjoyed that, because we were literally wondering how the response was going to be to it, because it got so unhinged so fast.
Everyone was loving the unhinged part.
Yeah, we were like, did we go too far?
Everyone's also commending your acting abilities.
It's very sweet. It really is sweet.
So like, there's that one shot where your eyes are bloodshot and your eyes are literally like, it looks like you're in outer space, like in anti-gravity or, you know, weightlessness, you know, and you're crying because all the water is just like pooling up and over your eyes there. Yeah. So did you actually like put in extra? Like,
no.
What was the secret to that? Did you just like try to keep your eyes open for 10 straight minutes and then film the scene?
No, I mean, that entire situation was really funny because some people were wondering if we composited the backgrounds of the Grand Canyon, but we did not. We actually drove out there. We went out there. We camped out there. And we did
you guys
talk.
Actually camp?
We camped,
like
yeah.
Intense?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
intense.
cool. I didn't know that.
It was super duper cool.
Was it super intense?
It was super intense. Intent, actually, because Jordan slept in her car.
Oh.
But it was me, Dean, and Jordan Coleman. And we talked about this a little bit on a previous podcast, but I, in communication with Dean and Jordan, was under the impression, and he would deny this, that they were going to bring the camping gear.
Oh, no.
So I was like, okay, that's great. Like, I'm going to sleep in Dean's tent, and, you know, I'll bring, you know, a pillow. And I should be good to go. But no, it was very much a bring your own everything situation.
It's always going to be that way.
Yeah,
Why did you not even check?
The
you didn't even bring the 360 camera.
Well, that's true. I really wasn't prepared. But the frustrating thing was I came with a pillow, and that's all I had access to. Now, Dean did let me sleep in his tent. That was sweet of him. But that's where the sweetness ended. He hoarded his hot food, right?
Really?
And he had it. Yeah, he had a jet boil. Because the thing is, I've gone camping plenty of times, and I have all this gear that I can bring. Like I can heat food. I have sleeping bags. I have all that stuff.
I don't get why you wouldn't.
Because we were taking one car, and it was I was already like, it's going to be too packed. Like, we need space for people. So I was like, I'll pack light, and then we'll just use whatever, you know, people bring. And so we get there, and he's got the jet boil, but he's like, it makes me laugh. But he's like, no, he's like, this is my jet boil, and I'm like, Dean, it's fire. Like, it's just fire. Just let me heat up a cup of noodle or something. So I eat a cold sandwich, and he's taunting me eating his hot soup. And
okay, he's taking it to the taunting level now.
Dean is one of my favorite people in the world. So he's absolutely taking advantage of this this divide between us. So we go to sleep, and again, I have a blanket and I have a pillow, and so he's sleeping. He has all the gear, and he has a sleeping mat as well. And so he kind of goes, "Do you want the sleeping mat?" I was like, oh, really? Like, that'd be cool. Yeah, totally. And he goes, well, I think I might actually need it. So he uses it, and I end up sleeping on just the tent floor. Oh, and I think I used like some cardboard or something as a sleep mat. So I had a really rough night of sleep. But the beautiful thing about that is, in the morning, since I didn't have much sleep, I was already on the edge of manic. And I do believe that this was his directorial intent, was to break me before we began shooting. So we start shooting for the entire day on the actual rim of the Grand Canyon. And we pop up at like one of the first viewing spots that there is. And we got there pretty early, so no one was really there. And we're like, this view is incredible. And it's so close to the campsite. So we rushed out there, we set up our stuff, and I put on my, you know, outfit and whatnot. My Evel Knievel outfit. And start doing the performance stuff, which isn't that manic at that point. It's just very basic. But what I didn't really register was going to happen was that it was going to draw a bit of a crowd. So throughout you know what I mean? Because obviously you're on the edge of the Grand Canyon and you're filming something.
You're on the edge.
So people, yeah, you're on the edge. So people were like just genuinely intrigued as to what was going on. And you know, I do a lot of like performance-y stuff here in front of my friends, but not out in public. I don't like, I could never do like the public pranks and stuff. I'd be way too self-conscious. Yeah, I'd be way too self-conscious to do that. So as they started watching, I was like, I gotta focus. I just can't. Like all these people with their arms crossed, like, do something. It's like,
dance monkey.
Oh no, dance monkey. So we did all that performance stuff, and the craziest part of that was being so close to the edge of the rim. Like, you're right there, and Dean is wandering around setting up camera equipment, and just literally riding the edge, walking backwards towards it, like all these dangerous things. So the whole time I'm just like on edge.
Is it like
out.
a legitimate cliff where you guys were standing?
It's
like
a sheer.
Like how far was the drop?
You die.
Well, that's not a
It's
distance.
a die drop.
It's a die drop.
At a certain point, the height, it's just as long as you die, that's what matters. And it's a die drop for sure. It was terrifying. But yeah, so we film all day there and it's pretty hot and we're getting a little worn down. You know, we have one day to shoot all of this stuff. And to end our day, we decide to head out to a more remote area for the manic stuff.
Oh.
Because all the performance at that point is pretty grounded. It's just talking.
Yeah.
We're not disturbing anybody. And I was really self-conscious about disturbing people.
Sure.
And
I know that feel.
Yeah, so we head out to a more remote area. I mean, it's still just a viewpoint where lots of people are parked, but we take all our gear and we just hike, you know, somewhat deep into the bush.
Okay.
Just because, again, the Grand Canyon's so big, you can find spots that are,
Sure.
you know what I mean, just remote.
Yeah, for sure.
And once we get out there, you know, the wind is going a bit, which does help with the red eyes, you know, when you're getting dust in your eyes and stuff. But once you start screaming, there's this powerful thing that happens where you do start to break. You know, after a certain amount of screaming, you really do start to, you know, and a full day of shooting in the sun, you really do start to go a little loopy. And so there's this one moment where my eyes are just like, you know, totally red, like brimming with tears. I've been screaming, so my voice is hoarse. And we're setting up for this final shot, the one that people are talking about where it kind of wraps around. And it's really funny because if you look at the full clip, right before Dean starts the move, he's rolling, but I'm there with a tear right about to fall. And I'm like, hurry, because I know it's going to drop. And then he calls action, and then I start my line, and it immediately drops. And that's the one that's in the actual video.
Also,
so
that camera move,
out.
like, I think Dean, like, at some point the camera was really close to your face. But you're doing this thing that I know how to do. So I think you were doing this where you were focusing beyond the camera lens off in the distance, but because the camera is so close, it creates this illusion where your eyes look like they're pointed different directions.
Yes. That's the one shot that he shot on the iPhone.
Okay.
On the 0.5 lens, which of course is super wide and distorted. Oh, that's odd. And then, so he pushed in and my line was Antarctica. And I was looking through the camera. And when I saw a playback, I was like, dude, I look like an insane person. This is crazy. So as we were watching playback, we were all dying laughing. You know, me, Dean, and Jordan, who were out there. And as we were looking at the footage, we did start to realize we are very insulated in this creative process right now. Are we completely off the rails? Like, have we lost the plot here? And it was reminiscent of literally all the bowling animation experiences that I've had as well, where you're working on something in private and you're going, did I go too far? And so when we were watching the cut and we saw some people see the shot too, the Bannock shot in particular, and every single one of them who walked by the monitor when Dean had it up was going, what did you guys do? And so, you know, when you're getting ready to actually release it into the wild, you do worry a little bit. You're like, oh man, like I know that we loved it and we were really proud of it, which is the best barometer always for creative stuff. But when you release it in the world, you're like, first of all, I hope people don't think I'm actually insane. That was my first hope, because, you know, we blur the line a little bit with who we are, you know, on this channel. Like, a lot of it is me, but a lot of it is a heightened me. This, of course, is just completely separated. You'll be happy to know. But then you do start to wonder, you're like, oh gosh, are people going to think I'm weird for the rest of my life now? And maybe they do. But yeah, the response has been like super moving. I'm so grateful that people are enjoying it.
That was also a bizarre video for me to take part in, because it was like, you're trying to do this thing that's like backed in science, even though it's inherently impossible to have it be backed by science.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm like, yeah.
You didn't know anything contextually.
No, like I was so confused, and it's like, okay, I understand drag, I understand all this stuff, but like you're wanting to do this thing that is like, it's not gonna work. And you guys like didn't realize some of that stuff until after you'd gotten back from filming and had already like filmed all these takes, and like I'm explaining this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not how this would work at all. And you're like, oh. Like you guys were assuming at some speed you'd be able to clear the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
And what you didn't know is that even if you could get enough speed to clear the Grand Canyon, you wouldn't exist by the end of it.
Exactly.
Because to get enough speed, you would literally melt like through the air.
Yeah.
From the friction.
What we learned in this process in particular is that you should do the math before you start.
That's why I always spend so much time on like all the research and stuff for my videos.
I know. And it's like, we were fine entering the manic realm, but like this video took many different turns over the duration of doing it, where it started off as
the manic stuff at the end. Sorry.
The what?
Go on.
Oh, I was saying it took many different turns because initially it was going to be, hey, I'm going to use Houdini to get this answer, right? By using their simulations. Basically, I recreated a jump result with a jump calculator online in my simulation. So I took all the information for a car, ran it through this jump calculator. It told me how far it would go. And then I basically tested it in Houdini and got the exact same result within a meter or two.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was like, this is actually pretty good. We can use this. And then I started thinking about, you brought up drag. And I was like, that's such an obvious point. Yes, of course. I don't think it takes that into account. Now, there is drag. You know, you can include drag in your simulations in Houdini, but it's not like mathematically consistent. It's just a number that you can kind of assign. Like, how much drag do you want? 10. What does that mean?
Yeah, what are the units?
Yeah, so now I'm flying blind. So we go, okay. And then I had a conversation with Nico, and he, had a great idea. He's like, look, we should do this at the Grand Canyon and actually composite this stuff in and make it like a part of this thing. Like really lean into what our channel can do so well. Idea? That was Nico's idea. And I was like, once he said that, I was
Nico's
like, oh,
here,
that's
by the way.
Freaking awesome. Yeah, Nico's over here.
I'm troubleshooting some live stream stuff.
Heck yeah.
Like,
thank you for doing that.
It's got to be a smoother experience.
Yeah, I love that. Are people having trouble right now?
I'm having trouble. And if I'm having trouble, other people are having trouble.
Should we wait or?
No.
Is that okay?
No, the podcast's going right now, guys.
The podcast is fine.
Okay.
Everything's happening fine right now.
It's more the live stream.
I want the experience of somebody coming to join us live on CorridorDigital.com to be the smoothest, most frictionless experience possible, so we can all hang out together.
I love that.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
Kind of like how Jordan was simulating the cars.
Yeah.
Frictionless.
Frictionless experience, yes. So Nico's idea was to bring him into the real world. And so I was like, okay, that's really fun. So it started to pivot then. And then the real math obviously has to factor in. So we're like, okay, we need to do the calculations. We should definitely include Ren. That would be a great like character inclusion for this video. But you were busy. I mean, I think you were working on Minecraft at the time, which rightfully deserved your full attention. So we'll talk to him later.
Yeah, I was also out for 2 weeks, and then I was back and crunched for a hard week to finish the Minecraft video. And so
we didn't want to bother you with that. We're like, we'll get to it. Let's film everything else first. And then when we did, we're like, oh shoot, once we saw the numbers, we're like, oh, actually, this might be a little weird. Because the idea, Sam's idea was the ending. I want to give him full credit for that. He heard our idea. He heard about, dying in the explosion at the end, like reaching the other side. And then he's like, what if you kept going? And we're like, what do you mean? And he's like, what if you just kept jumping farther? And I was like, I freaking love that. So yeah, we created that manic ending.
And that was where you guys completely separated from any of the advice I had, because there's something very key that I think you guys didn't either realize or just straight up ignored, and that was the fact that the projectile motion equations you guys were using, they fall apart when the distances get longer than a few miles.
Yeah.
Like even the Grand Canyon, like 10, 18 miles or so, is starting to be the point where that falls apart because you start getting curvature of the earth.
Right.
And projectile motion assumes everything's a flat plane.
Yeah. So
when you're saying it takes 120,000 miles an hour to jump from there to Antarctica.
Well, another point is, escape velocity. Like all the high level math stuff, 100% we were aware of that. And we chose to ignore it specifically for where the video was headed. And it's what the video ends up really being about is a character who can't come to terms with being wrong and falling short and needing the victory. Even if that means a descent into full-on madness. Basically, I'm at that point ignoring it and just saying, okay, let me think in terms of elementary. Let me strip all the naysayers, right? Because I literally turn off the radio to you guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't want to hear it. I need to do this, right? So now I've lost my mind. And we believed that the audience would forgive that and lean into it as like, oh, he's lost his mind, and not take the numbers seriously. We also included little asterisks with kind of some of those things explained, like this is beyond any material's ability to withstand. Like everything would be burnt. This would create a sonic boom. Like, we did include those little asterisks, but it was just too funny.
Just to clarify what I was talking about with those numbers there is that like at a certain speed, you actually are able to escape Earth's gravity. So like anything in orbit's going around 17,000 miles an hour, which is kind of crazy. So anytime a rocket launch goes up, it tries to first go straight up for a while to get through the soupiest part of the air. And then it starts going left or, you know, to the side to actually pick up speed. And eventually it's going 17,000 miles an hour. It'll fall forever. It's just constantly trying to fall towards the earth, but it's going sideways so fast it just never gets there. 25,000 miles an hour is about how fast you have to go in order to never come back to Earth. You just like, you leave Earth and you have so much velocity that you just keep going out. That's about how fast you have to send stuff like probes to Mars or to any other, you know, planet or moon in the solar system. But there's another speed, and I think it's somewhere around 90 or 100,000 miles an hour. When you hit that speed, you are now you've hit the escape velocity of the sun, meaning that you will leave the solar system entirely and never come back.
And at 119,000, you land exactly where you set off from. So that's, let me just include that last bit of math for you guys.
That's why I'm like, that's so weird, because technically that should be 17,000 miles an hour for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you slow down and you can come back.
Well, because when we talked to you about those numbers and you were kind of breaking it down, me and Dean had many conversations about that ending. And we're like, it's so funny. Like, that's where the video needs to go. And so we actually stripped all the speeds, which was the intention, to just start rapidly listing speeds. And in the final wraparound take, I'm actually just making up a speed that we dub later. We're like, we'll fill it in later when we have the speed calculation or whatever, not knowing that we absolutely were not going to get that because it's impossible. But we stripped the speed and we just started saying more rockets. And as I was watching it, I was like, it doesn't do anything for me. It's like, oh, you only need 17 rockets to get to Antarctica. It didn't hit the same as like, you only need to go 83,700 miles per hour. So it was just too funny to omit. And
yeah, especially because like rockets are so nebulous and,
like what does that mean?
Subjective.
Yeah, so it's funny like trying to put a number on something that is impossible and just not accepting that I'm wrong and then dying because of it. You know, I also wanted to include a quote at the end. I'm glad we didn't. Just dying in the fire is funny. But a quote about being okay with your hypothesis being incorrect. Like just ending with a quote about that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because that's kind of the underlying message, you know? You got to be okay. It'll drive you insane if you just don't accept the numbers. And the internal message is do the math before you do the video.
I also appreciated that you changed the design of the ramp. The truss structure of the ramp. So we filmed a bit earlier on, like one of the first times, I think actually at the beginning of the video, when you hit me up and it's like you're talking about stuff. We're filming that section and you had already started doing the visual effects for some of these shots. Like you'd already designed the ramp and we're comping it in, and I was looking at it and it was all just a bunch of squares, just a bunch of poles and then rails connecting the poles holding up the ramp. And if you know anything about a square, is that the angles can change. It can quickly turn into a parallelogram and then eventually flat. So like cardboard boxes, if you ever put them on their side, they fold flat.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what you had designed your entire ramp to do. It would fall over. And I was just kind of like giving you crap about it. I was like, you know, whatever. And the next thing I know, you would actually change the design. You had added cross beams, like diagonal cross beams to everything to make it sturdy.
Yeah. It was funny because, when you're working on like tightish timelines, when you've got like a ton of stuff to do, I didn't even think twice about looking up ramp design. Didn't look at any reference. I built a procedural ramp thing in Houdini. That I could change and scale and move, and all the railings would update however I needed, which was awesome. And I rendered everything out, which was great. But when you made that point, I was like, I don't want the top comment. You know what I mean? Like we're putting all this work in. I want people to be immersed. I don't want the top comment to be, technically railings need to be diagonal. Like that would break my heart. So I went back in. I was like, let me see if I can change the procedural setup and fix this thing. And in Houdini, there's this divide node, which will take any 4-point polygon and divide it so it can only have a max point count of 3. So I had grids that the polygons were being stripped, just keeping the wireframes, and those were being meshed with the bars, right? That's how it was kind of set up.
Okay.
So by dividing, simply adding one divide node into that chain, it then divided all of those box polygons into diagonals and then stripped all the polygons and then meshed them with bars. So it actually added diagonal bars to my entire ramp procedural setup. And then I just needed to re-render it. And since I composited in Nuke, also procedural, meaning trickle down, top down compositor, I just changed the input and then all my compositing settings took effect and I could re-render a new shot. Nice. So I replaced like 9 shots in the last day just on the side computer, you know, just so that comment wouldn't exist.
I do gotta say though, you should probably try to get onto the whole Octane render network bandwagon now.
I know.
Because that like you had all the computers rendering nonstop for weeks.
Yes.
And the rendering is just not a bottleneck for me anymore. I did like all of the shots from the Minecraft video, with the exception of the shots that Peter did. It was like, it's like, okay, this shot's done. Like, I export it. It takes 10 to 30 seconds to export the sequence. I upload it. That takes another like few minutes. Like maybe 5 minutes total to upload, set up your render through the web UI and all that stuff. Then you hit go, and you come back maybe half an hour later, and the entire shot's done. And you download it super fast because they've got like really fast internet wherever the servers are located. And
literally, I'm so insanely jealous of that. So here at the studio, for you guys that don't know, we have like, I don't know why you would know, actually, it'd be kind of crazy, but we have like these mastering computers that are basically like render machines. And I feel bad, but like, you know, working and rendering in Houdini and Karma, it's faster than it's been for sure, but I still kind of hog them. Like I'll end up rendering on like 4 different computers, especially near the end of a project. I'm like on all the machines.
I'm glad they're getting used.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this online render farm, like I'm so jealous of it. But I tried installing Octane, which is a separate renderer to the native Karma renderer in Houdini. And I'm having a million problems. And I just like, when it comes down to crunch time, I just need something that works.
And I can relate to that. You know what I
mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. It's like, I don't have time to troubleshoot this. Sure, this may take longer in the end, but what if I put in half of that time to try to get this other thing to work, and then it still doesn't work, and I have to go back to do what I was going to be doing originally anyway?
Nothing will break your spirit faster when you're on a deadline than starting over. Goodness gracious. So yeah, I was like playing with Redshift as an option as well, and like
supposedly Render Network will eventually somewhat soon work with Redshift.
Okay, see, now this is good news, because that I can absolutely work with. Redshift's very stable in Houdini, so
okay. But what I don't know is if you can actually export Orbex files, which is like the Octane proprietary file that the Render Network uses. I don't know if you could do that from Houdini, so it might have to be a situation where you got to export it to Cinema 4D and then export it out.
Okay,
so
yeah, Adam's asking, Houdini is quality over speed. So just you know, a bit of information here. Well, Houdini has a Karma renderer that is GPU accelerated now. It's called Karma XPU, and it's much faster than it has been to this point. So no, it does move quickly, but the quality and speed that you get out of Octane is really attractive. Like Ren's renders, love that sentence, look amazing. And again, he has access to this online render farm, so he can just churn them out wicked quick. And I would love that access.
Also, there's not a huge difference between all of the render
at this point,
program renderers out there these days. Like you're using, you literally just said it,
Karma,
which is
Karma's
like
great.
Is it Side Effects that makes Houdini?
Side Effects, yeah.
It's their like internal, like they made this renderer, kind of like how ILM made RenderMan back in the day, or Pixar, I forget who. And you know, there's Octane Render, which I've been using for about a decade now, and I think it's the best personally because it's like the easiest to use, and it's, if you know how to use it, you get really, really good results. It's very easy to get good results out of Octane, because when I started learning how to do 3D rendering, I was using both V-Ray and Mental Ray. And it's very hard to get a good looking image using those, because you have to know how the rendering engine works very well at like a deep level, because there's like 1,000 settings that you can adjust to like, it's the trade-off of like, do you want more quality or do you want this render to be faster? And it's like, you can like, make it only do a few bounce passes instead of all of all.
And
if
there's a lot more settings, it means you can make a lot more mistakes and completely destroy your final image as well.
And yeah, for me, when I first started using Octane Render, it was like such a huge revelation for me, because there's not really much you do. It's like you load in an object and it just does all of the global illumination just automatically, and it just automatically looks good.
It looks so good. Like Octane looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's like the better quality renderer you use, the less options there are, and that's a nice thing.
Yeah. Now it's like you have all of like the weird options, like have like crypto mats, or have render layers, so you can have like the shadow pass comped into the full render itself, as opposed to trying to do 2 separate passes. That's where stuff starts getting complicated with Octane. But Octane is also still one of the fastest renderers out there.
It is fast, dude. Yeah, because you're getting faster outputs than I'm getting in Karma for sure. But again, I don't know if that's also a software thing, because Houdini's cranking the math, and I don't know C4D if that's more optimized in some area. I'm not really sure what's going on, but yeah, it's like whatever you pick, a more frustrating element is then pivoting again, because I've learned Octane and C4D like back before I started Houdini.
Right.
I learned Redshift in Houdini, Mantra in Houdini. That was their old one.
Mantra.
Then Karma
Mantra.
now. And then I was going to switch back again on this project to Redshift. So I had to relearn that. But then I tried installing Octane. I'm like, what am I doing? Okay, no. Karma, they're investing all their time and energy in Karma. I'm going to just stick to it. It may be harder for me right now. I'm going to navigate it and it's all good. So I'm really glad I've been doing that, because I'm definitely getting faster in it.
I've always felt like Houdini's renders never really looked that great.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. You know,
I'm sure it'll get better.
Yeah.
If Blender has a great renderer, I'm sure Houdini's not far away.
Yeah. Cycles is great too. Yeah, I forgot about Blender entirely.
Yeah. You know, somebody, Abraham in the chat asked an interesting question, which was, you know, someone wanted to get into VFX. Where should they start? Donut and Blender tutorial. But I was kind of thinking back before that, like when I was truly starting visual effects, like the earliest stuff, where it's like, oh, how do I make this thing transparent and put it on top of another thing, right?
Right.
I was kind of wondering, like, what made me start and where did I start? And I guess I want to ask you guys, how would you start in visual effects and where did you start? Like,
man,
I'm assuming it wasn't like, oh, let me do a tutorial. I'm assuming it was something else where it's like, oh, you wanted to do a certain type of video or something.
It's true. It was project based, right?
Well,
it's like,
I mean, yes, it's always project based. If you want to get better and learn, you have to have something you want to try to make. But there's two different types of like effects artists these days. Obviously a lot more, but the two main ones is like 3D or compositing. And I got my start in compositing, After Effects. You know, it's video Photoshop. You're manipulating video, and there's so much you can do without ever having to actually render anything out of a 3D program. You don't have to know how to use Blender or C4D or anything to be able to make a lot of VFX videos, as evidenced by me with all of my early videos. But you know, if you actually want to start creating stuff that doesn't exist, then you have to start learning how to use 3D stuff. And for me, that sort of path was basically learning how to use Element 3D within After Effects.
Oh, yes.
That taught me a little bit about like 3D space and the coordinate system of all that, but also like just textures, like shader, like texture maps, you know? Like I didn't know the difference between like a roughness map or a reflection map or a normal map or any of those types of things that interact with light in certain ways to make it look a certain way. And yeah, that was my path, but like these days, Blender is so good and easy enough to learn that you can literally just sit down for a few hours following, you know, the Blender Guru donut tutorial. And by the end of it, you've made a donut. Great. But it depends on what you want to do. You know, do you want to like just make full CG renders? You could probably get away with just knowing how to use Blender.
Yeah.
But if you want to incorporate stuff into CG footage, it might be worth learning After Effects as well.
Right.
Granted, Blender does have compositing tools in it now, and there are other like open source compositing programs out. There's Fusion that obviously Nico's a huge fan of.
That's, I mean, you're so right, because it's like there's so many avenues you can go down these days. And there's like, when we were getting started, there was nowhere near the wealth of online information.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there wasn't much. There's Andrew Kramer for me. God bless Andrew Kramer.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, so we were kind of you kind of had to do project based, a lot more like trial and error, figure it out, maybe commit to some wrong decisions and build some bad habits. Like that happened for me for sure. But these days it's like, there's incredible professionals making courses for everything. And it's like picking the teacher that you trust and that you want to roll with and knowing where you roughly want to end up. I kind of have a personal philosophy that any motion in the general direction is better than sitting still and deciding.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I've not picked the wrong path, but I've picked a path that has progressed me a little bit in this direction, and then I'll like pivot and go this direction. And like I did a lot of compositing in After Effects. Now I'm compositing in Nuke. I did a lot of 3D in Cinema 4D. Now I'm doing it in Houdini. Like a lot of pivoting, but all of the fundamentals that I'm acquiring are applicable in every single software. The fundamentals are the things that don't change. Understanding how light works, how cameras work, what, like, again, understanding textures, PBR texture workflow, like all the basics of these things that every software can tackle. Good to know, and can be applied to the software that is the right tool for your end goal. Now, if it's FX, that's Houdini. If it's motion graphics, that's Cinema 4D. If it's, you know, making wicked quick, super cool stuff that's hyper flexible, I think of Peter immediately. That's Blender. Like there's tools for everybody. So it really depends on what you're interested in.
Yeah, I think you have to be really tool agnostic actually these days.
Yeah.
You need to be able to pick up any program and learn it in like 2 weeks.
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Good luck with Houdini in 2 weeks.
You have to be a master at it.
Yeah. No, I get you.
But like, I feel like school, if you're going to school these days for film, I think what they need to do is like, all right, your task is to learn a new UI every week. And just like it's like learning languages, right? And then at some point you just like understand the master structure behind language. And you're like, oh, I've elevated. I am now in my final form. I can use any program.
So like the question is like, how would you start? Where would you start in 2024? Like you've just graduated high school. You don't really have any sort of visual effects experience at all, but you're a big fan of this stuff. There's passion there.
I would start. So I did start, and I would start with exploring probably a piece of technology that I'm interested in first. Being like, ooh, a digital camera. Let me start poking the buttons. How does it work, right? Or I've been fascinated with 3D animation. How does it work? Can I turn on a program and see what happens when I click the buttons? You know, I wouldn't do it really with any sort of like art form in mind yet. I would just pick a piece of technology and start learning about it. But then I go like, okay, what cool thing can I do with this now? And like back in the day for me, it was, I really wanted to see 3D animation, how that worked. And then it was, oh, I found a website with Star Wars models. It was like, well, that means I want to make a Star Wars video. And then at that point, every single effect I learned from there was all for the purpose of this video. So then it switched immediately over to, now I have a goal, and it's like, okay, I need to do a lightsaber. Can I find a lightsaber tutorial? Cool, I found one of those.
Yep.
I need to do an X-Wing landing on a field. Can I find one of those tutorials? No, those don't exist. Okay, how do I do this? And then now it's, experiments and trying things out. And of course, the first thing I did was render a single picture of an X-Wing in... It's actually Cinema 4D back then. I started in Cinema 4D.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that. Yeah.
2000. No.
In the year 2000.
Was it the year? It was like the year 1999. It was very early. It was like Cinema 4D version 3.
Let's go.
It's crazy because it was known for being like the fastest renderer back then.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's weird. I didn't realize how early I was in on the Cinema 4D game. Yeah, but like I just rendered out a picture of an X-Wing against a green background and then color keyed it to just get it to be on this field. And I had this like janky handled, camcorder shot of a field. And I was like, oh, it doesn't stick to it.
Yeah.
How do I do that now? And of course that's motion tracking. Now that's a lifelong pursuit, still only have it half solved.
Yeah.
No, I can track anything.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's what it's like for me there. I feel like you kind of have to start the same way these days. You can't just get into it for the sake of like doing the tech. Like obviously the interest needs to be there. Like, oh, I wonder what a digital camera's like. I wonder what a 3D animation program's like. Do the donut tutorial, but just then doing tutorials for tutorial's sake to get better at the program, like you got to make something.
Dude, it's so real. And I'm going to pivot here a little bit as far as topic because my brother does like a lot of real estate stuff. And there's this term they use in real estate called analysis paralysis, which I freaking love because it's when you read so many books on it, but you don't actually go and do it.
Right.
And it's like, I have all this knowledge, but I have no experience. So it's not really cemented.
Dude, how about reading books on it and then teaching class on it?
Oh,
that's a big one. Like I did this tutorial and figured out how to do this effect. So now I'm going to make a tutorial on how to do the effect. It's like, no, you gotta use it. Don't teach me how to do it until you actually put it on footage.
That's the thing. It's like with all these tutorials, I think Christian, I think it is, says there aren't tutorials on everything. It's so true. So it's like all the tutorials that you use, the thing that I stress more than anything is like, okay, learn it, like learn this technique for doing something, but then you nailed it where you go, immediately, once you understand how to do it, apply it to as many things as you can think. How can I use this? What are creative ways that I can apply this technique? And that will send you down a new path of exploration where you will start figuring new things out too. And little by little, you'll fill out your map. You'll explore all the nuances, and you'll have a concrete memory that it's tethered to that will cement the knowledge in your head. You'll go, oh yeah, this is what I did when I blah, blah, blah. As opposed to, oh, this is from 3 minutes, 33 seconds on this particular URL. Like, no, you're not going to remember that. You have to apply it.
So I recently learned a new program that's not a 3D program like I'm used to, but the process of learning this thing was so similar to learning like C4D or anything like that. I had this realization as I was playing Elden Ring and had gotten enough into Elden Ring that I finally feel like I knew how to play the game, that I was like, this was just like learning a program. Because there's not really a tutorial built into the game. It's just trial by fire. You go around dying a lot, and then I was like 12 hours into the game before I learned there's a pouch functionality where you can hold the triangle button. I'm on PS5, and like a whole new option shows up so you can have a shortcut to like
different things,
and it's the pouch. And because I've been cycling through my list to get to my correct potion or to get to my horse, so I'd be in the middle of a fight and I'm like, I can either get my horse and run out of here, or I can drink a potion to heal up, but I can't do both. But now with the pouch, I can easily do both really quickly.
Are you playing it right now?
Yeah.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah,
because the first time you played it, you dropped out after the golden goose. What's his name? The dude on the horse.
The tree sentinel.
The tree sentinel said that dude.
I still haven't beaten the tree sentinel.
I've tried.
Like,
that's like a third to a quarter of the way into the game that you'll go.
Because I'm also playing it right now.
Really?
And I just beat the main game. I'm now playing the DLC.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So we're in sync with that.
Well, I mean,
because I also found the pouch later in the game because I was doing the same thing. Horse or heal? Horse or heal? I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, but like my point in bringing that up is that there's all these little things about it, and the only way you can learn them is just by using it, just by doing it. Eventually you'll pick up a new thing. Maybe you watch a tutorial to like, you don't know how to do this one specific thing, so you watch a tutorial on how to do that one thing, but you never have to watch that tutorial again because now you just know it. And the only reason why you continue to know it is because you continue to use it.
Yeah.
Continue to do it.
And that's actually what's kind of crazy about Houdini. Like when I was learning it, there were so many days where I was hitting my head against the wall, not understanding the principles behind something. And I honestly don't think I could scientifically explain what happened, but I kept approaching the problem. And then one day I understood it. And I literally don't even know how, but I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Just by reapproaching it and like applying it in as many ways as I could think. Yeah. And then eventually it like slot into place, that puzzle piece. And it's like, if I had just moved on and gone, oh, well, okay, I think I get it. I move on. That would have been gone. For sure. So yeah, application is.
Although I will say, in my early days when I was learning how to use After Effects, I think the most effective tool I used for learning After Effects better was making tutorials.
Teaching's huge too.
Yeah, teaching is a good way to learn.
Nico's more saying just reading a book and then immediately teaching it, I think.
Well, no, right? I'm not. Yeah, I'm just saying it's like I'm one of my earliest. I think my first tutorial I ever made was like a super jump effect. Where it's like I jump really high and I land on the ground and shatter the ground using some Action Essentials elements there. And I made the effect first, and it took me a while to finally do it. And I was like, oh, that was cool. And I was like, I want to teach people how to do this. Yeah. Rather than like, I want to learn this better. So I didn't know that was my approach at the time. But I had to do the effect like 4 more times, start to finish, before I felt confident that I can talk through the process as I record the screen cap and to do it. And so I started doing that a lot. I made a lot of tutorials back like, 14, 15 years ago at this point, about how to use After Effects. And I haven't really done that in a long time, but I think it was very instrumental in helping me learn the program better. So if you're wanting to, like, I think it might be worth doing for people who are learning a new thing. If you want to try to do an effect, just try to make a tutorial for it, but you got to make it good. Like you got to actually like go through and know how to do it so you can confidently talk about which buttons to hit, which menus to go down.
That's
even if no one watches your tutorial, even if you never actually publish it, I think the act of making it's the important part.
And that's kind of my personal approach for learning too, is like I start by watching the tutorial. And then if I need to watch it again to understand like where we're about to go, I'll do it. But the second time I watch it, I will take notes. And then I'll use those notes to basically talk in my own terms, teaching myself this idea in the simplest possible way that I can to make sure I understand it. And then I'll apply those notes that I took to myself to actually do it. I'm basically creating a tutorial for myself from a tutorial that I'm watching. It's like all one process for me that I really like. And in doing this Houdini course, I've been so grateful to do it because I'm reapproaching all the fundamentals and I need to break them down in the simplest possible terms. And some of them are hyper complex. And so it forces me to kind of humble myself, reapproach it, make sure that I fully understand it. And even going through all these things again, I'm picking up new things. I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, this is why this works this way. And so I can then communicate it to them and also use some of my past failures as like motivation for, oh, this has given me so many headaches. Like, let me help you with this. And so doing the tutorials too, or creating them has been instrumental in learning as well. So many ways to retain information. Really.
I would like to make more tutorials, but the problem on YouTube is that tutorials don't really do well. They don't really get a lot of views.
Well, the number of people actually trying to learn how to do an explosion simulation and the number of people that like learning about explosion simulations are pretty different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it though. I love it so much.
Balance. I like Jenna's line that she put in the chat of see one, do one, teach one to learn something.
Shout out to my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, see one, do one, teach one, I think is a really, really good mindset to have. So it's like you watch it once, don't interfere, just observe, and then you try to do it yourself. And then once you feel like you got a hand on it, even if you don't fully grasp it, the act of trying to explain how to do it will actually internally teach you how to do it a lot better.
Yeah. And you really do realize how much there is when you start trying to teach it from the ground up. We experienced this in the render challenge with Markiplier and Brett, where our hands were burned because basically, if you guys haven't seen the video, we had to walk them through creating our vision, so to speak, without the use of our hands. So just with our words, we had to explain what to click. And when you actually have to verbalize it instead of just muscle memory doing it, you're like, there are so many steps here. This is actually insane. I forget
some of the weird esoteric ones where it was like, all right, and then do this. And it's like, oh, wait. The shortcut. Do I explain the shortcut? Do I explain the menu? Like,
and then you're like, wait, and then you're like in your head, you're like, hold on, let me just zone out and try
what is the shortcut? I know the muscle memory
shift?
For the fingers, but it is control okay,
yeah. It's really fun, man.
At what point in your learning process do you start factoring in, is this good or not?
Ooh.
Because let's be real, it is a merit-based industry. So at what point do you go from, okay, this is fun, I like doing this, to is this going to have an impact on someone else's emotions? Is this good? Am I doing it for more than just me now? Like, when do you start adding that level of sophistication to your work?
Oh boy.
That's
like going from step 2 to step 9.
Well, because we're talking about a 9-step process.
Well, here's the thing. Your
I'm
tolerance.
really quiet.
Oh, are you really quiet?
That's what Steve Bagan said.
Steve Bagan.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, your tolerance for quality only goes up. Like I know we've all been there, because look at our earliest works. Like I can throw up my first shot. It's hot garbage. But when I made it, I was like, look at this. I'm the best. Like, this is the greatest thing in the world. I uploaded a video to YouTube when I was just a boy, where I was creating, I had a basketball hoop that I would always go and play at. And I did a backward shot. We've all done it, backward shot. It goes in the hoop from far away. And I uploaded it to YouTube with the title World's Longest Basketball Shot. I thought it looked great. I thought it was fun. I thought people would love it. And I got dominated in the comments. I think there were only like 3 comments, but as a kid, that's 3 crazy.
Comments are all saying
and I
you
freaking
suck.
just immediately like, fake, you suck, like crushed me. So I immediately deleted the video and then just insulated. And I was like, I'm not gonna share anymore. And started tinkering on my own. But again, like, to me, my barometer for good or not, I thought that was really good because I didn't know any better. So I think over time it's a natural thing where you will start to draw comparisons to, the quality that you're looking to achieve. But yeah, I don't know when exactly it happens.
Yeah, that question, Nico, I think is only possible. That starts coming once you have enough experience to fully and accurately judge what you're doing. Yeah. Like objectively judge what you're doing versus something else. Because I think in the early days of learning how to do something, I don't know. It's like,
well, didn't you get a thrill when you showed some of your effect shot that went, whoa, that's cool?
Well, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So isn't that the moment it happens? Isn't that the moment you're like, okay.
I mean, that happened really early for me then.
It does. I think it actually does. I think that quality thing of like, oh, I can make this affect people if it's good enough.
Well, it sounds like now you're chasing the high of response. You know what I mean? You're like chasing, you got to get a better response next time.
Yeah, welcome to artist life.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've just always used the barometer because, again, like, external validation is something you have literally no control over. So for me, like, even in this video that Dean and I did for the Grand Canyon, it's like at a certain point you have to just, if you are happy with it, it's good enough.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do. It really is, like, being at peace with where it's at. Because obviously I could critique every single shot in there and just be like, if I had more time, but at a certain point, you gotta let go.
I'm currently in a bit of a trough right now with this Gallium video. where we actually have a full test. We have a miniature version of my head cast in gallium.
So cool.
Which melts at 85 degrees. So we heat it up with some heat guns, melt it. And I did an effect shot. I actually have a finished effect shot test of this working, where it's like the gallium head reforms and turns into my head. I'll show you guys here. And by you guys, I mean Nico and Jordan. I don't know. There's no way you're going to be able to see this on the chat.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's, in my opinion, not that good.
Can I see it one more
like
time?
the forming is great.
It's yeah, I mean, it's proof of concept still. It's not the effect I was envisioning in my head, and it's because the gallium's not melting. Sorry, the gallium's not melting the way I envisioned it to. But we're still like, this is that area where it's like, okay, that didn't work, but what did we learn from it? How do we adjust? And then you make changes, and then slowly but surely we started getting to a point where, like, that was experiment number 5.
Oh wow.
Of trying to melt something to get a good result, and that was using all the things we learned from the first 5 attempts or 4 attempts, like, of trying to do this. And so that was the first time we actually like got it comped in with my face, so it transforms into me. But it's like,
what is it about it that's not hitting for you?
Well, for me right now, it was the way the metal had melted. I was envisioning like you'd see like blobs of stuff like flow down, and like you'd actually see the metal flow. But really what ends up happening is, because it's a 20-minute shot for this thing to melt, it ends up just kind of shrinking rather than like melting or flowing. And so it's not really giving the same sort of vibe that like the liquid metal Terminator would do. Like it would flow into its shape and form up. So we have some ideas on how to take it next. But yeah, it's just been a lot of like trouble. A lot of like, yesterday we melted all the gallium and we cast it in the morning. And by the end of the day yesterday, even though it'd been in the freezer all day, we're talking at least like 3-4 hours, it was still not fully frozen, not fully solid. Like I went to demold the thing and I opened it up and it started spurting out liquid gallium onto the table. I was like, oh no, oh no. So
wow.
Yeah, so pretty much as soon as we're done with this podcast, Daniel and I are going to try to do our 6th melt test. Actually, we did do a 6th one, but it failed horrifically.
Are you thinking just more heat, faster melt? Is that the idea?
We're gonna, yeah. I mean, I don't want to spoil too much about like.
Oh, true. It is gonna be.
I feel like if you can see the puddle underneath it go and shrink down as the object forms, it'd be cool.
Well, that would be cool. Yeah. This shot we need to not have the puddle in it. There's another shot we're hoping to get that will have the puddle, but yeah, it's turning out to be more complicated than we had envisioned, which of course is always the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going okay, but it's also just doesn't look good.
That's honestly one of the fun parts of working here too, is like, I know loosely what you're doing and I know loosely what you're doing, but I don't really know until I see the final video. Sometimes we'll do reactions and stuff.
Grand Canyon video.
Dude, yes, literally.
Dude, that you're like launching cars off the Grand Canyon, but I don't know what this video is until literally it's live.
This is the trust, guys. This is crazy.
It's also what happens when you guys aren't done with your video till 4 a.m.
That's true. That's true.
I hope it's good.
I'm going to throw another shout out to Dean. Dean worked so many late nights on this. He just kept going to 5 a.m. I was like, dude, what are you doing? You out of your mind? He's an animal.
He is an animal.
But yeah, so we were on the 11th hour for sure. But it's like, Nico, I don't think you'd seen it. I don't even know what you'd seen.
No, I haven't seen anything.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, we're going to release it on our channel. Amazing Trust. And then Ren, you were in it. And you didn't even know the context of it.
Well,
it's beautiful.
I knew enough to be a little concerned.
Yeah, you were a little concerned. But honestly, that played so perfectly for your character in the video, because you were the grounded voice. You're like, you and Jordan were like the ones who were like, what are you doing? So you being genuinely grounded and being like, this is impossible was so perfect.
I was genuinely trying to like help make sure that the math and science you guys were doing was real and not just made up or whatever.
Yeah.
But then kept being like, oh yeah, but then we go full manic at the end and it's all just crazy. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm putting my reputation a little bit on the line here.
Yes.
Like, I take a lot of pride in making sure that for the most part, everything that I do is like accurate and realistic in terms of like. the possibility and hypothetical of it all.
And this was honestly like, you know, to some degree supposed to be like an inverted, the upside down of your videos in a way, where it's like, I even wanted to at the end for the text of the speeds, do the handwritten, like animated stuff. But I know, I was like, whatever, we'll just do our own thing. But to me, it was like the upside down. It was like, yeah, this perversion of science. It's like the ugly shadow, you know? And the fact that it came out right after the Minecraft video was so great, because there was so much like real science in there. And then it's like chased with its ugly shadow, you know? It's like, it's perfect. So yeah, that was so fun though. We had so much fun making that.
Nico, when's Gray Matter 2 coming out?
Probably for not like, realistically, probably for like 6 weeks or so now.
But this year?
Hopefully. I mean, probably try to shoot it week after next.
Really? Already?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, it all takes place in one spot.
Yeah, I know.
It's in a dark room. I gotta be careful though, not make the piece really ugly. Where it's like, it's great when you write it and then you're like, oh, how do I film this thing? It's like, it's pitch black. It's like, oh, just might as well leave the lens cap on.
I mean, Game of Thrones does it.
That's true. They got a whole episode. Like they took a whole climactic battle scene.
Yeah,
and
they had a whole episode where they left the lens cap on. I can't believe they forgot that.
It's like a radio drama. So there's that. I'm kind of waiting for Sam to finish his Gosh and Splat locations.
Dude, me
the biggest
too.
I can get video. We want to keep using Gosh and Splats, but Sam's claimed the tech.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I wanted to do a Gosh and Splat video earlier this summer, but it was like at around the same time that Sam was starting up his, and he was doing the whole like stealing locations idea. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll pivot to this other idea. So I started working on the true scale of video game maps, like all these different maps and like the relative size of them and all that stuff. And that was in like a few days into that I started realizing that most of my passion around that idea was for Minecraft. And so that video became the Minecraft
That was
video.
a great pivot. And the timing was just so serendipitous. Pivot. It was insane.
Yeah, that completely accidental for like timing that up with the trailer. That was, yeah. And that was all because I wanted to do this Goshen video and I was waiting for Sam to finish that. And then that like, people went on vacation. So then that got delayed. And then the idea itself changed. And now it's changed again. But also the original crew video is still the same video and they're still working on it. So it's still a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What are you working on right now though, Nico?
Well, two things. Well, kind of the main thing I was working on, which actually is not taking a lot of my time, is getting the Corridor channel to 10 million subscribers.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, we should talk about this.
So this is our, I guess, our finale here. So
heck yeah.
I assume you guys know that we have a channel called Corridor, not Corridor Crew, not the one that everybody watches React on, not the one that everybody watches.
Formerly called Corridor Digital.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we should change it back.
I kind of think so too.
Yeah.
I would.
Anyways, we have our OG channel. Exactly, the OG Corridor. It's currently
we used
called
to call
Corridor.
it the main channel.
Yeah,
we kind of still call it the main channel. It's not been the main channel for years,
even though it has way more subscribers than Corridor
almost
Crew.
twice as many. Yeah. So it's sitting at 9.97 million subscribers right now.
Yeah, and it's been at 9.9 million subscribers for this entire year. Now, the channel, if you think about it, we've been around for almost 15 years. You know, that's 750,000 subscribers a year, roughly, at that rate. 15 years, 10 million subscribers. So we went from a rate of 750,000 subscribers a year in this channel to less than 100,000 subscribers this year.
Well, granted, most of those subscribers came in the first few years, and then a few bumps later on around like Boss Town and whatnot. And
yes, that's very true.
Tech and Longest Laser.
Point being, though, is like this line is plateauing, and it's plateauing at the most inopportune spot, which is at like 9.99999 million, because the diamond play button happens at 10, and we want to get it.
Of course.
So right now, well, first off, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not subscribed to the Corridor channel, please help us reach 10 million subscribers and go subscribe to the Corridor channel. But we realize
we've got a plan.
We have a plan. We have a way to get to 10 million subscribers. We're still making shorts for the channel, like our regular video shorts, but it turns out the way to get subscribers on YouTube these days is with YouTube shorts. Right now, if you make a YouTube short that pops off, it picks up a lot of subscribers. We've seen it on the Corridor Crew channel. I've seen it happening with other channels. So we're having a shorts film festival right now on the Corridor channel where
internally.
internally. Well, it's kind of also externally on the channel.
Well, I mean, like when you say film festival, I assume that's open up to the public. People can submit and stuff like that. Right. That's not what we're doing.
But on Monday, everybody in the studio got to make 2 shorts of their choice from anything on the Corridor channel. However, no doubles. So if somebody wants to do Boss Town, it meant somebody else had to do, I don't know, The Glitch. And we've all participated. So we have 24 YouTube shorts coming out over the next 24 days in the Corridor channel.
I also, when we first came up with this idea, I immediately went and made 3 YouTube shorts from the Animoji video. So those are ready to go up, part 1, 2, and 3.
Well, those will take us out of the little stretch here. I mean, we should just keep doing it because, like, here's the thing: we all started being like, okay, I'm gonna do this one, I'm gonna do this one, because we also have a little money at stake here. Everybody gets to keep all the ad revenue from their shorts. So everybody's incentivized to pick the most viral short they can make.
That's a fun twist on it.
And then I hear you can't make any of your shorts shorter than 3 minutes.
I can't make any of mine shorter than 3 minutes.
Well, you're like, I heard like your shorts were like in the 3-minute range.
Yeah, no. One of them is ish, but there's a reason for that will be explained in the crew video. Okay. I won't spoil right now, but the other one is like a minute something. It's the. Can I say? I can say.
You can say.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're trying to keep secret here.
No.
There are no secrets here.
The Primtech 2 video, the bamboo motorcycle.
Yeah,
that one's like a minute, and that one just honestly rides like a satisfying.
You gotta make it under a minute. Make it 99.
Wait, don't you?
99% of 1 minute.
But it can be over a minute.
Yeah, I know. As of October 15th.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's when my first one's going up after October.
Well, because you made a swap.
Yeah, because you had to swap out.
Because I had to swap out. I don't know. I think it's like a minute 20 or something. But
I'm just saying, it's like I managed to take 2 different videos that were several minutes long, and I got them both under a minute.
Yeah. I could strip some stuff from the short, but it rides like a satisfying render compilation. And it's just nice to sit there. Yeah. You know, you just have the ambient sounds of Clint just making a bamboo motorcycle.
Sure, yeah.
It's just nice to sit and watch. So, I'm just going to, I don't know. I might have totally botched it and ruined it for myself entirely. Or I could be sitting on some gold, brothers. We're going to find out.
Yeah, actually, that's another fascinating point here is that, like, there's the game you play with YouTube like that, right? So it's like, you want to make your video, at least a short, you want to make it attractive enough and to the point enough that people will watch it, right? And it'll get more eyeballs, it'll get pushed up in the algorithm, all that stuff. But if you make it too long, then maybe people won't really watch all of it, and YouTube thinks that, oh, I guess people aren't watching the whole thing, we're not going to serve it as much, it gets fewer views. So it's that trade-off.
Yeah.
But YouTube back in the day notoriously kind of changed how they incentivize videos by basically being like, your videos will likely do better if they're a little bit longer. If you get them over 10 minutes, you can now put like mid-roll ads on them, and we'll really push those videos out. And suddenly YouTube videos started getting a lot longer. Now, like, so many videos are friggin' like 40 minutes more.
Yeah.
Or more, like hours even.
So, I mean, the fact that they're okay, here's my thinking.
So there might be some sort of incentivization where it's like, if you get upwards of 3 minutes on a short, maybe that actually is a good thing. We just don't know yet.
Here's my theory. When YouTube rolls out a new feature, they want people to use it. They're going to prioritize it. My 3-minuter is dropping almost immediately when that window to do so is open. They could just freaking push it. Now, on the other end of it, since we can just share this all, which is great, I have the Keanu Reeves stops a robbery.
Yeah, Jordan Allen's like, you guys are all going to sit there and work on your shorts. Why don't I just take this video
already
vertical, but was uploaded before YouTube Shorts existed, and literally just re-upload it?
It's just a vertical video of Keanu Reeves. Now, because that has a deep fake, I don't know if they're going to mute it.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? So that's the line that I'm writing.
A non-consensual deep fake.
Exactly.
But a clearly satirical deep fake.
Yeah, because I kept it in the 360. I kept in the 360 neck break. That's in there. So that's the part that really shows it. And in the description, I am highlighting that it's a deep fake. So I don't know. I'm rolling the dice on it though. I mean, to have a finished short that is well written and executed, already vertical. Who am I? Again, it has 17 million views on the Corridor channel. Who am I to get in the way with my creative ideas?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's just another free 17 million views right there. Who knows? Or maybe it gets 10,000 views and doesn't go anywhere.
Exactly.
So the moral of this whole story is we've got about a month's supply of daily YouTube shorts ready to go up pretty much right now. And we don't know what's going to happen. The goal here is to get another 30,000 subscribers on the Corridor channel so that we can immediately apply for the Diamond Play button and hopefully within a few weeks get that button so we can actually film the ending to this video. Because we're filming a whole Corridor crew video about this.
Yeah.
But without that ending, I strongly feel that this is not, it wouldn't be a good video.
Yeah.
So we have to we have to actually achieve this ending. Because we talked about maybe like using the crew video as kind of a push to the Corridor channel. Like, oh, we're doing this thing and now you can participate and go to the Corridor channel and subscribe. But I feel like that's kind of a cop-out ending. We're so close and we have a plan to get it there. So we're just going to try to do it.
There is one mild snafu. Ever since we started uploading shorts, we've lost 360 subscribers.
Oh no!
Oh
no! It's sinking the ship. We're sinking the ship.
YouTube, what are you doing?
Wait! Oh no! I didn't consider that. I didn't consider we'd make it worse.
That's the best ending of the video. Is that we're worse off.
What?
It's because there's so many old accounts like tied to the Corridor channel that either like don't want to subscribe to us and somehow accidentally did like 8 years ago, and then are randomly getting a video from us like, who are these guys? And they unsubscribe. Or it's like dead accounts or bot accounts that like when like they get dusted off to be given a short, YouTube says like, wait a minute, that's not a real account.
Question: Can there be a consolation prize for whoever short loses the most subscribers? That is so funny.
Wow, it's legit.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that, because there's also what we call the 4-day bump, which is after the videos spend some time, YouTube has let all of our normal viewers see it. They start putting it in front of new people. I'm hoping that 4-day bump happens to the shorts and they start getting some new eyeballs. But right now, apparently 350 people saw one of our shorts. Is like, I'm going to go out of my way to unsubscribe to this channel.
Wow. And I mean, well, X-Jack said that we're up 100K this, what was it?
No, we're not.
I lost it. We're not, that's not true?
No.
Okay. Well,
over the course of the year. We are not up 100K subscribers in the past month. We're up 6K.
Ah, yes, that's a very different number.
Yeah. And at that rate, that's a half of a year until you hit 10 million.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like...
Well, maybe even longer at this rate if we keep losing subs.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh,
okay.
man.
Well, let's see how our shorts do, huh?
Yeah.
Is anyone here short responsible for that? We haven't posted yet. None of us, yeah?
We got Sam's and
Look,
Emmett.
here's the thing. Ren's got his finger on the pulse. Okay, I think he's gonna steer the ship right. I feel confident about that. So I want to go after Ren when we get more subscribers back.
We've uploaded so few shorts in the Corridor channel that you can't even see the ranking currently. And out of 10, you can't see the performance versus the last 10 videos. There are no videos to compare them to.
Man,
it just gives you their numbers, and you have zero. Like,
that's
how's
weird.
the performance of this video? There's no curve to match.
Dude, if we lose more subscribers after Rated R Spider-Man, I'm not feeling good because that one is a powerhouse.
Yeah. Well, that's one that went up today. Actually, maybe that's why we lost 300. There's a lot of blood in that one. Some babies are probably on their phone, and people are like, "Oh my god,
babies on their phone."
Actually, I don't know. It's only been seen by 10,000 people so far. But then I have to remind myself that's 10,000 people is like a town.
That's a town. That's almost a full stadium, like a full basketball stadium.
It's like a small town stadium. That's like, yeah.
Who made it 12 seconds short about the glitch?
Me.
It's 12 seconds? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's that famous effect of Mario glitching out.
Wait, is mine uploaded, Christian, yet?
We have to wait till we get the 3 minutes.
Okay. Because I wanted to know duration, but that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're both over a minute, so we have to wait till we get the 3-minute functionality back.
Yeah. Regardless, we're getting a lot of joy out of this. It's going to be a very fun thing to watch.
Nico, you're up tomorrow, so we have to pick your short for tomorrow.
I'm up tomorrow?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I'll get you my short.
We got to get one for tomorrow.
I managed to take the longest lightsaber video, and I made it 59 seconds long.
Nice.
I think it works really well. It's pretty funny, too. But now I feel like I need to go in and make a whole subtitles pass on it because there's so much dialogue and the dialogue's kind of funny. And I feel like I can elevate that by animating the dialogue text a little bit. Or not like animating it, but doing it like with a little bit of creativity as opposed to just having like the auto-generated captions.
Yeah.
Like, how would it caption Sam going, oh, oh?
Yeah.
You know, like I want to have like a little text being like, whoa.
Heck yeah.
I think I might do insta-kill tomorrow.
Okay. Are you doing it with the full loop or just the
full loop?
Okay.
Yeah. You know, it starts off the blue shell, ends with the soldier going, what's that sound? Yeah. But man,
I like it.
It's like
I'm not mad at that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. The thing is like the other strategy here is like right now it's only Corridor subscribers seeing these shorts. So it's like which one are Corridor subscribers going to be more into? Are they insta kill or tactical reloads? Those are my two shorts, by the way. It
shouldn't be Corridor subscribers.
In theory, it shouldn't, but it
just
certainly
be
is.
YouTube in general.
Otherwise, 10,000 people saw the short and not a single, like truly 10,000 people saw Sam's short and like 3 of them subscribed.
That is so wild.
Well, and YouTube a third of them unsubscribed.
Yeah, YouTube is only showing it to subscribers currently. It's like 20,000 people at this point and only 3 subscribers is insane. Like they have to all be subscribers. Yeah. It's YouTube's weird. Weird world, man.
It is. Because it's like, I feel like when making shorts, I'm thinking more about what algorithmically I think I should do than anything else. And I don't even know what I should do algorithmically. You know what I mean? I'm like, should I do subtitles or not? Like, what do you think the algorithm would like?
Subtitles tend to help as far as I'm aware. Like the general consensus is that like it improves retention really well if you have captions, because there's something just addicting about reading.
Yeah.
Where it's like you see the thing, but like you're reading the words and somehow that just keeps people watching the video. But my favorite trick is just to make the video loop.
Yeah.
Just make it loop somehow. Even if it's a cop out of a loop, even if it's not like a true loop, as long as like the end of the video leads into the beginning of the video in such a way that it like can keep people watching. I've even seen people like take an actual video, just chop it just before the interesting part and literally just reorganize the video. So the video literally starts 2/3 of the way into it. And then after you finish the last third of the video, then the beginning of the video starts and you start getting all the context. And I always remember thinking that was really bizarre and odd, but I also was like, I think it works.
Yeah.
People are watching it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird. It's messed up.
It's weird.
Incentivizing people to make worse content.
To make content traps.
But I guess it does hook you. But yeah, I don't know. It's like right now, it's definitely not general audiences seeing the videos. It's just Corridor, like longtime Corridor fans. And I just like, I wonder.
Or one day into the experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're 2 days. But I do wonder.
Or on day 2. Yeah. Fair.
I do wonder, like, type of content right now versus in a few weeks from now. Like, do you need to build up an audience? Does it matter? Is it truly just the viral wins? Could you upload the video 5 times and one of them gets 10 million views? You know, it's like
you're in a really unique position here where it's like we have a wealth of videos that have all done incredibly well on YouTube over history.
Yeah.
And it's like for the first time, we can do daily blitzes of videos that have all been extremely viral. Like I don't think anyone's ever done this experiment in YouTube history.
That's true.
Like this is kind of nuts.
Yeah, we didn't cave for all the years, and YouTube's like, do you use shorts? Use shorts. We didn't cave. And now finally we're caving to get over 10 million subs in the Corridor channel. And it's funny because when we all were picking out our shorts, like which videos we're going to use, because, you know, it's like, we can't double up. On Monday, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do this one. Well, I'm going to do this one. Oh, but did you think about this one? Oh, I didn't think about that one. But what about this one? And it's just like, there's a lot.
There's still a lot more videos that we haven't touched.
Are like viral classic videos.
I passed up a video that is like at 100 million views. I'm like, no, not the right one. I'll keep looking. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. And what's just like a last thought here on shorts. I mean, they're obviously all powerful because it was that one comment on the Minecraft React where they're like, I think they're framing the actors for vertical.
Yeah.
Like that was such a good point that I didn't even think of. But yeah, and all the important trailer shots, it's like, yeah, you could reformat that for vertical and it would work up perfectly compositionally. It's like, dang, man, we're framing for freaking vertical now.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Crazy times.
Yeah.
So that's what we're currently doing.
So everyone's gotten subscribed to Corridor, right? Everyone here is subscribed to Corridor. All right, cool.
Let's undo that 300.
Let's get out of the hole here. Let's just try to get even for the day. All right.
Try to catch some air a little bit.
We're in subscriber debt actually right now. Just trying to keep our heads above water.
Such a funny ending to the video. If we do like 40 days of shorts and the final result is we lost 300 people.
Man,
That's so
that
funny.
video.
If that happens, the corridor video, the crew video is just not coming out.
No, that's how it's got to end.
gotta
It's
end.
like
It's so funny.
It's a month later, it's like, guys, ready? We lost 300 subscribers and we have 9.969 million subscribers now. It's like,
Gosh, that's such a funny ending. And that might inspire the sympathy that would finally get us over the 10 million. Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows? What a
Yeah.
wild situation.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. Well, this is the point at which we bring our podcast to a close, but we continue our live hangout with the website subscribers for a little bit longer with our CorridorDigital.com subscribers. So if you're listening to our podcast on YouTube or Spotify or wherever, thanks for listening to us, but consider joining us for the live show on CorridorDigital.com, usually Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays. Yeah, I don't know. You'll see announcements. We post them on things. All right. So long, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Now it's website hangout
Oh, I
time.
mean, shoes come off.
Now we can answer questions quickly and easily. How do you guys know which content is worth pursuing for a whole video?
Oof.
I feel like we just had this conversation yesterday with Veritasium's team.
We did have this conversation yesterday with Veritas. Yeah. Passion.
Yeah.
Passion, gut, and seeing if you make a good thumbnail and title that you would click on.
Your bowling animation. The
Oh, that's
yeah, no.
hilarious. You make your freaking Jeffrey Epstein suicide bowling animation, and somebody's like, "You generated the hat with AI? I'm
Oh.
offended." It's
I'm
like,
like,
dude,
oh,
it's
yeah.
a Jeffrey Epstein suicide animation, and you're offended at the
like-
AI
He's like,
hat.
"You made an AI hat?" I literally, yeah, in that same one, it's like that same
Oh
like.
my god!
Think of all the things that you see in that episode. It's like you see the Hiroshima thing, you see the Jeffrey Epstein thing, and it's like all of that was reduced to you made an AI hat. How dare you?
It's just the hat too.
And you even make a joke in that where you're like, I mean, it is an offensive bowling animation. Like you're even self-aware of it. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's still like, it's
Oh, I
oh,
love it. It's so funny. That's the cool. The guys, everybody here's got the real part. This is the real podcast happening right now. This is the good. This is the off the air podcast. This is just for you guys. Stephen Cast is saying that he's predicting a meta redemption arc in the next 3 years. And honestly, with the fact that they're releasing all their LLMs open source,
It's already happening.
truly open, like use
They're-
it commercially if you want, kind of stuff. Yeah, it's happening right now.
legit.
Yeah. You
They're
see how
putting all their
Zuckerberg is
points in.
dressing now?
Yeah.
Somebody
You see
made
his haircut? You see his
somebody
tan?
jokes like, Meta's getting better at AI at the same rate that Zuckerberg's looking more human. Is that a coincidence?
That's great. That's so funny.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, on that note.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the live
Bye-bye.
stream.